Adelante, Rosa.
Hello, families. Welcome to our immersion night. So before I start, I just want to let you know that all the teachers will be giving you a brief explanation of what we do and how we do our work in immersion education at Park Spanish Immersion. My name is Rosa Salahili. I'm a kindergarten teacher at PSI, and I've been teaching immersion education for over 20 years. English is my third language. And immersion education is a passion of mine. So what I want to tell you as far as immersion education is like, as teachers, we know like we start from zero, and we have to be super animated from day one. So we have to convey meaning. So we have to make the language, we know that the kids are going to pick up based on what we do. So we use tons of visuals, tons of songs, tons of expressions like voice, intonation, everything we can to convey meaning. So it's kind of like the idea of like grabbing like too many bites of the apple. So then like, oh, I know, it's kind of connecting the dots. And we do it in an environment that it's like a safety net. There's a lot of repetition, a lot of routines, so the kids are they feeling like it's okay to take risks, because we know that language acquisition, you get better at it by using it in context, and if you don't use it, the language is, you're never going to get really good at it. So we need to provide that environment that the kids feel safe to use the language. And we do tons of scaffolding. We help them each step of the way, to a point that like, even though they talk to me in English and all my colleagues, I respond to them only in Spanish, and they don't even think that I speak English. And it's kind of that piece of like, they just like at the beginning is all of us talking, and as we go through the year, it's like I talk less and they talk more, because they're building the language. They keep every day adding more vocabulary, more more sentence stems, and is using context. So that's why we have all that repetition, all that piece, that it's so important to be embedded, so they feel safe, which is key, so they're able to take the risk. And also we know that they learn the language by intensity, by time, and we want to make sure we provide that through the whole day through immersion education. Sarah?
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Sara Gutierrez. I'm a long-term substitute this year. For me, Spanish is my native family language, and I learned English through growing up here in Minnesota, so through school mostly. And immersion, to be able to support your child, it's important to know that it's not necessary for you to have previous knowledge in Spanish. The language skills and knowledge children have in their first language will transfer to Spanish as well. So your child will benefit greatly from you reading to them regularly and nurturing the love for learning, as well as a sense of curiosity by engaging them in open-ended questions about their experiences. And being encouraging and applauding their efforts consistently will also be a huge support to their overall academic and personal growth, especially in immersion, because it will be very tiring in the beginning. Jenny?
All right, nope, I'm going to go next. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Weber-Ducer, and I have been teaching first grade and kindergarten immersion for 29 years, 22 of them at PSI. And my 3 children also attended PSI. I am from Minnesota, and so English is my first language. I learned Spanish as an adult when I lived in Costa Rica for a number of years. So I'm a product of immersion. As Corey mentioned, literacy, math, visual arts, PE, and music are consistent across the district. All of the students are learning the same concepts. We have the same curriculum, except we do it in Spanish. We are also fortunate to have working with us Ann Moore, who's our school counselor, and Jennifer Greger, who's our school social worker. And we collaborate with them on a series of social and emotional skills lessons, because we know social and emotional skills are so important for kindergartners. So some of the topics we deal with are dealing with emotions, dealing with change, friendship skills. Those are all really key for kindergartners. If we work on that social and emotional skills, then we can really continue to focus on academics. Now, one of our district's goals is that each and every child can come to school and be his or her true self. So we are very intentional about exposing our students to the world around us, and in doing so, providing opportunities for them to see themselves in our classrooms, in the lessons we teach, the books we share. But we also want them to see and respect others that are different from themselves. So as I said, we're really intentional. We have a lot of lessons that we do, a couple of them that I'm going to share with you. One is called Que Bonito Color, which means what a beautiful color. And that is a celebration of the beauty of all the different skin tones. We also do lessons about how families are different, and that is okay. So we really focus on that. Every day, we strive to create classroom cultures and a school culture that is welcoming and it's inclusive for all of your children and all of our students. Ellie, you can go, you're next.
Hi there, my name's Ellie Johnson. I am a student teacher in Rosa Salahili's classroom this year. I grew up learning Spanish starting in kindergarten. I graduated from a Spanish immersion, very similar to Park Spanish Immersion. And I'm going to talk about the kindergarten readiness. Kindergarten readiness at Park Spanish Immersion means that students are coming in with some independence. This means giving them plenty of opportunities to try things on their own, even if they fail, and recognizing that it takes lots of practice and patience to succeed at things. Students will continue to grow in this throughout their first year and try new things. Along with this, we want students to be able to recognize and tell you their name. And then as well as that, we want them to be able to put on their own shoes and clothing on their own. Fine motor skills like tying their shoes and zipping up coats are things that we'll work on throughout the year. But they can start practicing at home. It's important that students are able to go to the bathroom without any help and practice good hygiene skills. We want students to be advocates for themselves. So that means asking for help when they need it. We want, very often students need additional clarification because we only speak to them in Spanish. So that's very common, and we want them to ask for that help instead of getting stuck and frustrated. One of the best things you can do to prepare your student for kindergarten is exposing them to new things and letting them try new things on their own. This can look like reading new books at home or playing games for fun. This allows students to become more adaptive to change, and they can start working through these frustrations that they may encounter during their first year of school learning a new language.
Jenny. Muted.
You're on mute, Jenny. Jenny, you're on mute.
There you go. You may ask why PSI is so unique. PSI is a pioneer in immersion. Other schools have used us as a model. Many Spanish-speaking countries are represented with our dedicated staff. We have the privilege of having many interns from other countries also. We provide cultural experiences for students, such as dance and drama club.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Jenny. We're going to open it up now. If people have questions, you can go ahead and ask them. You can put them in the chat. We can respond that way too. I know a very common question that we hear each year is, how will my children know what to do in class? And Rosa talked about this a little bit, but we make sure that through actions and visuals and songs and gestures, we make sure that they understand. They won't know every word we're saying, but our goal is to help them understand the gist of what we're doing, the concept, so that they're able to be successful. So, yep, it's a very common question and we're on it. All right, go ahead, questions. Like I said, you can throw them in the chat if you would like to.
Somebody asked about class size, and as
Mhm.
far as we know right now, we have 24 is the max. And I think that's the number that we are keeping PSI at.
There are 2 adults in each classroom. Someone asked about adults. There's a teacher and an assistant. And then we also have the Amities, and hopefully they'll be able to come back next year. And then sometimes we're lucky to have a student teacher also. So at least 2 adults. So someone asked, our child is currently in a Spanish immersion pre-K program. Will that make it easier for his transition? Yes, he already knows what it feels like to be in immersion.
And we have many kids like this. This year I have like 5 kids that come from a pre-K in Spanish immersion. So they already been, it's not going to be anything new to them. It would be for the other kids, but we'll make sure that whatever they are, we're pushing the language.
All right. So there's a question about, are there any students for whom an immersion program is not a good fit? We have students of all abilities in our classrooms. We have a fully, we have a special ed program. I don't think that was mentioned tonight, but we have 2 special ed teachers. We have several special ed para assistants so that we can meet the students' needs wherever they are. So yes, we have students who are on individual education plans, 504 plans. We have students at PSI with all of the abilities that students in any of the public schools have. So we work to meet every child's needs.
And we also have a speech teacher.
There was a question about native speakers. And this year I have like 5 kids that they're native speakers in the class. So that's never a problem. So we know that kids that come with Spanish as their L1, as their native language, come with a different set of needs, and we try to meet them where they are. So those kids, like, we differentiate and we push their, language skills in Spanish, just like we push with any other kid based on where they are. But yes, we do have kids with Spanish as their first language, just like we had kids in the past that, Russian was their first language, or, other languages.
Right. And for those students who don't speak English, when they start, we do have English language learner classes also. So those students would receive classes in English from a specialist that teaches that. And that would be, they have those classes a few times a week. But that's fully part of our program, and we are prepared to meet those students' needs. Someone asked if it is just not working out for a child, is there a transition plan to a neighborhood school? We do have students that do transfer to other schools, generally usually within the district. So we've worked with the other 3 schools when a student decides to switch to one of their schools, so that the new teacher in the new school gets the information that they need for the situation. It is important to know, however, when you think about joining an immersion school, it's really a long-term commitment. We will teach your children to read in Spanish. We will not teach them to read in English in kindergarten. You have to stick it out in immersion. They start to have a formal English class in 2nd grade, and they're taught to read in English if they don't already read. Many kids take this, learn to read in Spanish, transfer those skills into English. And between 3rd and 5th grade, a child's reading ability in both languages becomes on par. And so by 5th grade, children are reading in both languages. But it's a long-term commitment. It's not something you pop in for a year and then, leave, and then, there's not switching back and forth. So keep that in mind, that is a long-term commitment. The benefits are well worth it.
And there's a question about distance learning. So right now we have a lot of Zoom calls, and we try to do small groups just so the kids have plenty of opportunities to use the language. And we have 6 kids mostly with us based on, different criteria. But right now we have like at least 7 Zoom calls a day, and we have a schedule with them, and also they see the physical education teacher as well as the music teacher that way. But right now, hopefully that's, this is it. And next year we're back to in the classroom. That's our hopes.
Yes, I see we have one more question. It's 7:15, so if you want to jump on the other calls, that's fine. There's a question about homework. We as a school moved a few years ago to the position of having your children read is their homework. So there is not a lot of homework for those of you that are concerned as early learners in speaking Spanish for parents. It becomes less of an issue. And teachers also work with students before they send, if they send any homework. So that's.
And if we send homework, it would be something that we have taught in the classroom, and it would be just review. It could be maybe practicing writing their name with capital letter and lowercase, or maybe practicing ABCs or writing numbers. But it would be, when you see it, it would be obvious for you what is the goal of the homework.
All right. Why don't we wait like a minute for people to jump in if they're coming for the second time, and then we'll get started again.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thanks. If you were here for the first session, thank you. It's hard to know who's coming and going now. All right, and if you are here for the second session, we'll start in just a maybe half a minute. Some people come in.
So should we start? Buenas noches, good night. Thanks all for coming. We're just going to give you a brief intro about immersion education. So I'll start. My name is Rosa Salakili. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I've been at Park Spanish Immersion teaching kindergarten for over 20 years. English is my third language. So immersion is a passion of mine. I have 2 kids and they went through immersion education as well. So what I want to tell you about immersion, how it works from day one, we only use the target language, in this case, Spanish. And we are super creative. We are a bunch of little, actors. Like we do everything in our power to get our message across. So either with a song, with visuals, with drawings, with our voice, change of the voice, with anything we can to make ourselves understood. And the kids are picking up on those clues, and it's all in context. So if you look into our classrooms, there's a lot of routines, a lot of repetition, a lot of things that make sense, and that creates like a safety net. So the kids are start picking up, oh, she wants us to line up, oh, she wants us to stand up, arriba, abajo, and a lot of songs. We take advantage of everything we can. So we try to connect their knowledge in English to their knowledge in Spanish. Like we use things like cognates, like mi familia, la familia, oh, like my family. So anything we can to convey that meaning and make them feel like they are getting it. We know that, English is not their first language. We have just a few kids that come with some Spanish. So that's the main idea, like the idea that even though we speak Spanish to them and they respond in English at the beginning, they don't realize that we can switch languages or that we speak English as well. So it's building that language piece that little by little they feel more confident. And at the beginning we do all the talking. As we go on, they do themselves, they jump in to talk because they feel comfortable with the language. And like I said, a lot of games, a lot of songs, a lot of little things that, we build the language that way. And it's kind of fun playing and just picking up the language that way without even realizing. Sarah.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Sara Gutierrez. I'm a long-term substitute this year. And for me, Spanish is my native family language, and I learned English through school growing up here in Minnesota. In immersion, it's important for you to know that you don't have to have any previous knowledge with Spanish. The language skills that and knowledge that children have already in their first language will transfer to Spanish as well. And your child will benefit greatly from you reading to them regularly and nurturing a love for learning, as well as a sense of curiosity by engaging them in open-ended questions about their experiences. Being encouraging and applauding their efforts consistently will also be huge supports for their overall academic and personal growth, especially with immersion, because it will be very, very tiring experience in the beginning for them. Kim.
Let me unmute. Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Weber-Dussert, and I have been teaching kindergarten and first grade immersion for 29 years, 22 of them at PSI. And my 3 children have also gone through PSI. I am a native Minnesotan, and I learned Spanish as an adult when I lived in Costa Rica. So I'm a product of immersion. As Dr. Maslowski mentioned, across the district, the students all have the same curriculum, including at PSI. So literacy, math, objectives, visual arts, PE, music, it's the same in each school, except we do it all in Spanish. We are also fortunate to work with closely with our school counselor, Ann Moore, and Jennifer Greger, who's our school social worker. We collaborate with the 2 of them on a series of social and emotional skills lessons. So, excuse me, they come into our classrooms and work with the students on those social skills, those emotional skills that they need so they can build on, and then we can build on the academics. So a couple topics that we cover are dealing with emotions and dealing with changes. Friendship skills are also really important in kindergarten. And one of our district's goals is that each and every child can come to school and be his or her true self. So we are very intentional about exposing our students to the world around us. And in doing so, we provide opportunities for them to see themselves in our classrooms, in our lessons, in the books that we share. At the same time, we want them seeing and respecting others that are different from them. So we have, as I said, we're very intentional in lessons that we create and that we deliver. A couple examples of lessons that we have. One is called Que Bonito Color, which means what a beautiful color. And that one is a celebration of the beauty of all different skin tones. We also talk a lot about how families are different, and that's okay. However your family is okay, it's great. So every day we are striving to create classroom communities, classroom cultures, and a school culture that is welcoming, inclusive of all of your children, all of our students.
Hi there, my name is Ellie Johnson. I am a student teacher in Rosa Sala Healy's classroom this year. I began learning Spanish in kindergarten at a Spanish immersion school very similar to PSI. Kindergarten readiness at Park Spanish Immersion means that students are coming in with some independence. This means that that giving them plenty of opportunities to try something on their own is very important, even if they fail, and recognizing that things take lots of practice and lots of patience. Students will continue to grow this independence throughout their first year at school, and they'll try many, many new things. Along with this, we want students to be able to recognize and tell you their name, as well as putting on shoes and clothing on their own. Fine motor skills like tying shoes and zipping coats are things that we work on as the year goes on. But students can start practicing these things at home on their own. Another thing that's important is that students are able to go to the bathroom without any help, and that they start learning how to practice good hygiene skills like washing their hands. We also want students to be advocates for themselves and ask for help when it's needed. Very often students need additional clarification because we only speak to them in Spanish. And so they might not understand the first time, and that's all right, but it's important that they know how to reach out for help when they need it, instead of getting frustrated and stuck. One of the best things you can do to help prepare your student for kindergarten is to start exposing them to new things and new experiences. things you can do at home, like reading books or playing games for fun. These types of things expose them to new experiences and new things, which they'll experience a lot in their first year of kindergarten. And then they can start learning and working through frustrations when they don't understand. And yeah, that's all.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Joyner. I have been working at PSI for 25 years. I learned English just like kids here are learning Spanish. I went to an immersion English school. You may ask yourself what makes PSI so unique. PSI is a pioneer in immersion, and other schools have used us as a model. Many Spanish-speaking countries are represented by the dedicated teachers that work here. We have the privilege of also of having many interns that work as help in the classroom. We provide cultural experiences for students such as drama and dance. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can jot them down and we'll do our best answering them.
Yes, go ahead and put them in the chat, or you can just ask them. Okay. The first question is, how often do you find students need to transfer out of immersion because it's not the right fit for them? It's pretty rare. This question was asked in the previous session about students who might need more help. We have a fully staffed special education department. We have 2 special education teachers, several paras. We have a speech teacher. So students who have individual education plans or 504 plans, their needs can be met here at PSI. We are prepared for that and have full staffing just like the other schools do.
We have plenty of students that come with different backgrounds and many that come with Spanish as their first language. So we meet them where they are based on their needs, because we know that once you come with Spanish, you're not gonna, your needs are gonna be different. So we push their language just like we push the language, skills of those kids that don't have the they don't have any Spanish. Right now, for instance, during distance learning, I have a group of kids that come with more Spanish because they came from a preschool experience or because Spanish is their first language. So I group them together and I work with them based on where they are. So we do try to make sure that we push their level of Spanish as well with reading, and there's many ways we can differentiate.
We also do offer English classes starting in kindergarten for the students whose first language is not English. And so all the students in the school get English classes starting in 2nd grade, but those who need more vocabulary and speaking skills and practice do receive English language classes starting in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Next question is, do you see a gap in Spanish proficiency from student to student from day one? Does that impact kids' confidence? I don't think so. I think we set up our classrooms and our lessons such that every single child can be successful. And those children who are more inclined to be risk takers might take more risks in the classroom and really try to use more Spanish. But I don't really see a difference in their confidence based on if they know some Spanish or not. I mean, every child obviously is individual, so there's going to be differences. But like we've said, our classrooms are set up such that there is support for every single child to be successful in what we're doing.
And then in the beginning of the year, maybe a child is a little shy and is not so willing to participate, but we operate in routine. Our days are routine. So the kids know what's coming up because they get used to it.
the next question is, are differentiated learning experiences provided for students in the same ways that here that they are at the other elementary schools? For example, interventions and gifted and talented program. Yes, exactly the same. It is 7:30. You're welcome to stay for more questions if you have them, or you're welcome to jump into another session. We are going to repeat our session and we'll probably start in about 1 minute.
I had a quick question. You said that right now for distance learning, you guys are doing Zoom calls and meetings. For those students that aren't in the small group, what are those students doing, and how can we as parents, I know things might change next year, but like what type of support do these kindergartners need at home?
We do now, we meet with them 4 times for Zoom calls. So that's
Every
like
day.
half an hour every day. And then we provide asynchronous lessons too, so they can do some activities at home with that we've been practicing. So like different things, they have seesaw activities plus the Zoom. So that's plenty for the kindergartners. And we feel like that's really giving them what they need to be successful, because you cannot keep them for 4 hours, but 2 hours is a stretch, but in different increments. So it's been working in smaller groups right now. If that answers. Hola, Misha.
That was her question, by the way, not mine.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Good to see you guys.
Like, how is she staying busy so she doesn't bother me?
Good question.
All right. Okay, it's 7:31, 7:32. Rosa, do you want to go ahead and we will start our presentation again?
Hola, good night, everybody. So I'm just going to start. My name is Rosa Salakili. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Park Spanish Immersion School. I've been teaching for over 20 years at PSI. Let's see, Spanish is my 3rd language, and I'm really passionate about language acquisition and immersion. And I have 2 kids that went through the process, and I'm working on anything immersion right now. But what I want to tell you is, like, as a new family, how it works is like from day 1, we only speak Spanish to the students, and we call it the target language. So we do everything in our power to get our points across. So I'll do songs, I'll do gestures, I'll do visuals, we'll do everything, it's exhausting at the beginning because they're taking it all in, and we start from the basis that they don't know any Spanish whatsoever. But with a lot of games, with a lot of repetition, with a lot of consistency, you make things predictable. In the classroom is set up that way as well for all of us. So we provide like a safety net, so it's okay to take risks, and day by day their confidence built, so they know what's expected. They're more willing to take risk, and we try to meet them where they are, but we try to encourage and boost their confidence. Like one funny thing is, like, we all speak to them in Spanish and we never respond to them in English, even though they talk to us in English at the beginning and sometimes later on, and they think that we don't speak any English. So that's the idea behind, like, that's how immersion works. You're immersed in the language from the minute you walk in until they go, because we never switch to English. And that's the way that, because if they knew I would switch to English, why bother paying attention learning Spanish, right? So yeah, that's the main idea. Like, it's all about games, it's all about repetition, it's that consistency. And pretty soon they start like picking up, they start doing the little songs, the jiggles that we do and everything, and fun and games, and they're picking up the language. So that's in a nutshell a little bit how it works.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Sara Gutierrez. I'm a long-term substitute this year. And for me, Spanish is my native family language, and I learned English through school growing up here in Minnesota. In immersion, it's important to know that to be able to support your child, it's not necessary for you to have previous knowledge in Spanish. The language skills and knowledge children have in their first language will transfer to Spanish as well. Your child will benefit greatly from you reading to them regularly and nurturing a love for learning, as well as a sense of curiosity by engaging them in open-ended questions about their experiences. Being encouraging and applauding their efforts consistently will also be huge supports to their overall academic and personal growth, especially with immersion, because it will be a very tiring experience for them in the beginning.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Weber-Ducer, And I've been teaching first grade and kindergarten immersion for 29 years, 22 of them here at PSI. And I have 3 children and they all attended PSI as well. I learned Spanish as an adult when I lived in Costa Rica. I'm actually a native Minnesotan, but I'm a product of immersion as an adult. Dr. Maslowski mentioned in his initial comments that across the district, the 4 elementary schools, our children have all the same curriculum. So literacy, math, visual arts, PE, music, all of the same outcomes, the same curriculum. We also at PSI are fortunate that we collaborate in kindergarten with our school counselor, Ann Moore, and Jennifer Greger, who's our school social worker, and we work with them on social and emotional learning. So they come into our classrooms and they actually speak English when we're dealing with social skills and emotional skills. And so those are really key in kindergarten, help the kids get off to a good start, and then we can start to build on some more academics. So a couple examples of lessons that they teach are dealing with emotions, dealing with change, and then friendship skills, which are so key for young children. One of our district's goals is that each and every child can come to school and be his or her true self. So we are very intentional about exposing our students to the world around us. And in doing so, we provide opportunities for them to see themselves. We want them to see themselves in our classrooms, in our lessons, in the books that we share with them. At the same time, we want them to see and respect others that are different from them. So as I said, we're really intentional about how we do this. And a couple lessons that we use, one is called Que Bonito Color, which means what a beautiful color. And that lesson is a celebration of the beauty of all the different skin tones. We also teach about families and how families are different. And that's wonderful. Every family is different and that's okay. So every day we are striving to create classrooms, classroom cultures, school culture that is welcoming and inclusive for your children and for all of our students.
Hi there, my name is Ellie Johnson and I am a student teacher in Rosa Salahili's classroom. I began learning Spanish in kindergarten as at a Spanish immersion school. It's very, very similar to Park Spanish Immersion. So kindergarten readiness at Park Spanish Immersion means that students are coming in with some independence already. This means giving them plenty of opportunities to try something on their own, even if they fail, and recognizing that it takes lots of practice and patience to succeed. Students will continue to grow this independence throughout their first year of school and try many, many new things. Along with this, we want students to be able to recognize and tell you their name, as well as put on their shoes and clothes by themselves. Fine motor skills like tying their shoes and zipping up their coats are things that we work on in school, but you can start practicing at home on your own. We also think it's important that students are able to go to the bathroom without any help and start practicing good hygiene skills like washing their hands. We also want students to be advocates for themselves. This means asking for help when they need it. Very often students need additional clarification on things, and this is because our instructions are only in Spanish. So they might need a few additional pointers, and that's all right. But the important part is that they reach out for help instead of getting frustrated and stuck. One of the best things that you can do for your student to help prepare them for kindergarten is help expose them to new things and new experiences and let them try new things. You can try some things at home like reading books or playing games for fun. This allows students to try new things and become more adaptive and try working through some of their frustrations when they try new things. And these are some of the things that they may encounter their first year of school learning a new language.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Joyner. I've been teaching at PSI for 25 years. I learn English just like your kids may or are if they come to PSI. Um, you may wonder what is unique about PSI. PSI was a pioneer, is a pioneer in immersion. Other schools have used us as a model to start their own. Many Spanish-speaking countries are represented through our dedicated staff. We also have the privilege of having many interns that help in the classrooms, and we provide cultural experiences for students such as dance and drama club. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask or you can write them in chat.
Okay, I have a question. What do you how do you guys feel about parents coming in and like observing the classroom, especially at the beginning?
I would respond to that. It's kind of a little hard at the beginning to have parents in, because think about this. When you use a foreign language, if you're there, they're just going to run to you. They're going to stay away from us. We haven't built that relationship. So I would say I never had a problem with people coming in and seeing what we're doing, but I always say, give us some time to build those relationships so they get used to the routines and the language, because otherwise it's really hard. Even when we do summer camps and I have parents that they want to come, like they're going to behave differently if you are in the room versus if you're not in the classroom. So we try to make that clear, because they need to get acquainted to the classroom, the routines. And if I have a parent, then the other kids are like, where is my mom, where is my dad, where is so it makes it more complicated, because it would be less likely that they're going to be listen to our directions and our instructions when they have a mom and dad to run to. And I think it's more challenging, and it's not, I would say by all means, I always have an open door policy, but I would say give us time so they are accustomed and they pick up on the language, and we start building those relationships before we have people showing up.
To add to that, we do, however, love parent volunteers. We have a lot of opportunity for volunteering in the cafeteria, the media center, field trips, classroom parties, parents volunteer. All of that happens in non-COVID times, of course. But yes, when we're back in the building, we love having parents come in and volunteer, and the kids love it.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome. There's a question. Can you talk about how you foster a love for learning, especially in young learners? What projects or units do students love? I think off the top, the five of us and the three assistants that work in kindergarten, we all love learning. We love being there. And so there's an energy in kindergarten that just makes it fun. It makes it exciting. And we, Rosa said initially, there's a lot of singing and dancing and acting and theatrics in kindergarten. So it's a fun place to be. And then we embed in that, like, how exciting it is to be learning new things. We get very excited when they learn new words, when they learn to read syllables. So it's a very high energy. It's a very exciting, and it's a lively place to be. It really is. Students and projects and units that they love. Kindergartners generally love to do art. They love singing and dancing, which we do singing and dancing every day. We have some fabulous hands-on projects. We have something called a makerspace at school where we go, and it's engineering based. So we build things and we solve problems, and the kids really love those activities. We have some robots in there. They like those. There are so many projects and units that they really love to do. Okay, next question. One of you guys can answer this. When a child is feeling frustrated with their inability to tie their shoe, for example, are they spoken to in English or in Spanish? Just curious how you de-escalate children's anger and frustration.
We speak to them in Spanish. And the way you de-escalate is you don't make a big deal about it. We all learning together. So it's like, oh, yo te ayudo. So it's nothing to be a shame. It's nothing to be worried about. It's like, it's a process. Like, it's not like we're gonna make anybody feel bad about not being able to tie their shoes. It makes it easy on us if we have 24 kids and some of them know how to tie their shoes, but we're never gonna make them feel bad about it. So we de-escalate by, the way you talk to them, and by helping them and making, they realize that you're there, you're an ally, you're there to help them out. And just like, you help somebody tie their shoe, you help somebody zip their coats. So it's that process. And we don't switch to English, because if you start that route, it's a slippery slope. So then it's like, oh, whenever you get stuck, then they'll be speaking English with me. And I feel like it's better to set up that tone from the beginning. And even if they don't comprehend every single word, they pick up on, they get the energy that you are there to help them out. And I had, we've been doing, all of us, we've been here a long time, so we've been doing this for a long time, and we've been de-escalating by, talking to them without any, just like you would talk to them, but instead of in English, in Spanish. And they get the energy. The kids are so smart. They always pick up on you. If you care, they notice. If you, if, and also like Kim said, we are, the energy is kind of contagious, and you want to make that energy positive and embracing, their, their gifts as a kid. So yeah, we de-escalate by using Spanish.
And we also have staff members that can come in to support us if needed.
In English.
In English, yes.
If we really, if we need to, we have people on staff who speak English and come in and help. I'm just noticing it's 7:47. So if you want to go to a fourth session, they might be starting in that fourth session, and we will probably start our presentation one more time in about a minute. There was one more question about, can we speak to the level of speaking Spanish after 5th grade and after 8th grade? My kids were in those grades a long time ago, but they can, by the end of really 1st, 2nd, they can start to have simple conversations pretty easily with you. So by the end of 5th grade, kids can converse quite well. And then as they move through the grades, their reading improves, their writing improves. I just want to give you like the long-term view. When our kids who stick with the program all the way through 12th grade, many of them get to college, and colleges don't know what to do with them because their Spanish level is so high. They test out of the Spanish placement tests in college, and they're fully bilingual. They read, they write, they speak, they're fully bilingual if they stick it out through high school. And even 8th grade, they read, write, and speak well. So it works. Okay, Rosa, you want to go ahead and start again?
Hola, buenas noches. Good night, everybody. So this is our last round, and we're gonna give you in a nutshell what we do in kindergarten. My name is Rosa Salahili. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Park Spanish Immersion. I've been at TSI for over 20 years. Let's see, English is my 3rd language, and I'm passionate about language acquisition and teaching in the immersion setting. What I want to tell you about immersion is, like, from day one, the kids, when they come to school, we know that they don't speak the language. There's some that do, but the majority don't. So from day one, we have tons of patience. We have a lot of energy, and we make sure that we get our point across. Meaning from day one, from the minute they walk into the classroom until the end of the day, we stick with the target language. And the way we do that is by using a lot of gestures, a lot of songs, a lot of movement, facial expressions, and everything we have in our power to get our point across. And it's super easy to know if they are getting what you're saying or not. So it's harder at the beginning because you're building from nothing, and as you go, you have more and more to work on. But our classrooms are set up that way as well. So there's a lot of routines and a lot of things that they're predictable, and the kids feel like, oh, I know what's happening. So it's not everything is unknown, because we know it's a new teacher, a new classroom, a new language. So we make the playing field to make it like a safety net and help them along the way with a ton of scaffolding. And also keep in mind that, you know, even though they respond to me in English, they don't realize that we speak English as well. And as we go through the process, my goal is that I speak less and they speak more, because, you know, language, you acquire language by listening, and then you produce the language, and we obviously want them to be using the language in context. So there's plenty of opportunities for them to use the language, and we want to work on increasing the quantity, so it means like they talk more and more, and the quality, so we give them a lot of feedback. Sarah. Oh, Mike.
Hola a todos. Hi, everyone. I'm Sara Gutierrez. I'm a long-term substitute this year. For me, Spanish is my native family language, and I learned English through school growing up here in Minnesota. In Immersion, it's important to know that to be able to support your child, it's not necessary for you to have previous knowledge in Spanish. The language skills and knowledge children have in their first language will transfer to Spanish as well. Your child will benefit greatly from you reading to them regularly and nurturing a love for learning, as well as a sense of curiosity by engaging them in open-ended questions about their experiences. Being encouraging and applauding their efforts consistently will also be huge support to their overall academic and personal growth, especially with Immersion, because it will be a very tiring and overwhelming experience for them in the beginning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Weber-Ducer, and I have been teaching kindergarten and first grade immersion for about 29 years, 22 of them at PSI. I have 3 children who attended PSI as well. And I am a native Minnesotan, but I learned Spanish when I lived in Costa Rica as an adult. So I'm a product of immersion as well. As Dr. Maslowski mentioned, across the district, all 4 elementary schools have the same curriculum with the same benchmarks. So literacy, math, visual arts, PE, music, objectives, all the same across the district. We deliver it all in Spanish. We are also very fortunate to work with our school counselor, Ann Moore, and Jennifer Greger, who's our school social worker, and they work with kindergarten students on emotional skills and social skills. They come into our classrooms and they do work with the children in English, but they work with us, especially at the beginning of the year, and helping the kids to grow and develop their social and emotional skills. So a couple of lessons that they work on are dealing with emotions, dealing with change, and then of course friendship skills, because those are some pretty important skills in kindergarten and with younger children. So one of our district's goals is that each and every child can come to school and be his or her true self. We are very intentional in kindergarten about exposing our students to the world around us. And in doing so, we provide opportunities for them to see themselves in our classrooms and to see themselves in our lessons and in the books that we share. At the same time, we want them to see and respect others that are different from them. So we have numerous lessons that we have created and that we deliver. One of them is called Que Bonito Color, which means what a beautiful color. That is a lesson, that's a celebration of the beauty of all the different skin tones. Another example of one of these lessons is families are different. And we talk about how each family is different. Every child's family is different, but each family is valuable and important. So every day we are striving to create a classroom culture, a school culture that's both welcoming and inclusive for your children and for all of our students.
Hi there, my name is Ellie Johnson, and I am a student teacher in Rosa Salahieli's classroom this year. I attended a Spanish immersion school starting in kindergarten at a school very similar to Park Spanish Immersion. Kindergarten readiness at Park Spanish Immersion means that students are coming in with some independence. This means giving them plenty of opportunities to try something on their own, even if they fail, and recognizing that it takes lots of practice and patience to succeed at something. Students will continue to grow this independence throughout their first year of school and try many new things. Along with this, we want students to be able to recognize and be able to tell you their name, as well as put on their shoes and clothing on their own. Fine motor skills like tying shoes and zipping coats are things we will work on further in school, but they can start practicing at home. Another thing that is important is that students are able to go to the bathroom on their own, and they practice good hygiene skills like washing their hands. We also want students to be advocates for themselves and ask for help when they need it. Very often students need additional clarification on instructions since we only speak to them in Spanish, and they might not understand the first time. And that is very normal, but we want them to know that they can ask for help, and that's important so that they, instead of getting frustrated or stuck. One of the best things you can do to help prepare your student for kindergarten is to start exposing them to new things and trying new things. You can do things like reading new books at home or playing games for fun. This allows students to become more adaptive to change and to work through some of their frustrations, which they may encounter during their first year of school learning a new language.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Joyner. I have been teaching in PSI for 25 years. I learned Spanish, I learned English in an American immersion school in Panama. You may wonder what is unique about PSI. PSI is a pioneer in immersion, and other schools have used us as a model. Many Spanish-speaking countries are being represented throughout our dedicated staff. We have the privilege also of having many interns that come into the classroom and help. And we also provide cultural experiences for students who want to participate in dance and the drama club. If you have any questions, please speak out or write them down in through chat.
I just have a quick question. What is the typical classroom size? And then are there like more than one teacher in the class? So maybe the ratio.
Yeah, it's 24 students per classroom and usually 2 adults. Well, it's
So,
group.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
yes, small. So an earlier question was directed kind of at our special ed department and what other services we provide. And it's the same as the other schools. We have a fully staffed special education department with 2 teachers and numerous paras. We have a speech teacher. We also provide English classes for students who are native or non-native English speakers. So when they start kindergarten, if they need to work on their English skills, we have a teacher for that. Am I forgetting anyone? No, I don't think so. So that was a question that came up earlier.
Speech, did you mention speech?
We have a speech teacher.
Okay. Yeah.
So any services that would fall under special education in the other schools, we also have. We also have a gifted and talented program. We have intervention, exactly like the other schools. Yeah.
How many classes get brought in each year?
4.
Only 4.
The school board has established the numbers for PSI, and it's 96 students, which is 4 classrooms of 24.
Okay.
So that's set by school board policy. That varies a little with the other schools because they don't have that policy.
Right.
The school board.
My biggest concern is I want my daughter to go there, but I'm hoping that she can get in.
Yes.
Does proximity to the school matter? Because we're moving right across the street.
No, it'll be nice to have you in the neighborhood, but it doesn't. Just make sure you get your application in by the deadline. That's the most important part.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, if you're on the wait list, which happens, don't think that it's for sure a done deal, because we do have students families who get in and then they move or change their mind. So some students on the wait list do get in by September. There's not a set number, but it does happen.
Yeah. This year I had 4 kids that were on the waiting list, just because maybe COVID, because they moved, because they were changing their minds for whatever reason. So they end up coming in, even though they had, number 27 on the waiting list so far. So.
And even if the school year starts and someone leaves, then the spot opens. So then the next person in the waiting list gets in.
So, all right. Any other questions that we can help you with?
I think
All
I'm
right.
good. And it's us. So.
Okay, good. Hopefully you were able to get the information you needed tonight, and you can always contact the school, and I know they have virtual tours once a month, I think, and there's times to meet with Senator Maslowski. So, and hopefully we'll be back in the building. You can come and tour the building and see how it looks when it's all working.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes. All right. Thank you for coming tonight.
Yep. Have a good night.
Gracias.
You too.
Everyone. Wow. I felt like every time I was